Thanks for staying with us. It's time to go to the press and see what the headlines are. And joining us is Mr. Kehinde Nwandu. Good morning and welcome to the news. Did I just say the news? I just said welcome to the news. I'm so used to that, but it's still news anyway. Welcome to.
It's still part of news.
Yes, it is. Okay. Well, let's begin with the Guardian newspaper this morning. The leading headline is Nigeria risks losing youth generation to drug abuse, mental health crisis. That's a story on page 6, but it's making the boldest headline there. Let's start from there.
Well, the issue and problem of drug has become a big problem, not only in Nigeria but across the globe. But the worrisome part is the fact that more youths are getting involved in that, and that is the worrisome part for me. So everything must be done to be able to checkmate this. So many agencies of government are doing the best they can under the circumstances. One is the NDLA, which has really stepped up its activities and operations in recent time by making sure that they arrest drug couriers, those that are also into the act of importing, exporting, as well as also selling drugs, illicit drugs and hard drugs. Then they've also expanded their operation to some institutions where they also apprehend individuals. The second part of it is that when we're talking of drug, there's also another agency, NAFDAC, which also is trying to step up its activities, not only about drugs, but also what will I call it now, expired drugs, or whatever we call it. But the point is that we should focus more on trying to be able to make sure that Nigerian youths don't get themselves involved, because the level of involvement of the youths is getting out of. It's been shown that as how will I put it, as so many young kids, even in secondary school these days, are getting themselves involved in drugs. Then you go to the tertiary institutions, it's even worse. The use of hard drugs, illicit drugs, marijuana, cocaine, and the likes are practically ruining so many children. So it is my belief that we can still do more. Part of it could be the part of education, trying to educate the youth on the dangers of taking drugs. Then also that can be also taken home. We have lost our value when we are growing up as kids. We know the kind of talk that our parents give us. Don't smoke cigar, don't do this, don't do that. But most parents now have abdicated their responsibilities and then don't put serious eyes on what the children are doing. So that's for me the issue. But I think we should need to do a lot of enlightenment, especially on the part of the regulatory agencies that are in charge of drugs and illicit drugs and prevention in Nigeria. That is what I feel about that.
Parenting has really changed from what it used to be to now. Yesterday, I just saw a story where a boy was confessing that his mother sold the family land and gave him the money to enroll in a Yahoo school. So mothers are now encouraging their children to do Yahoo, to do all other things. So they don't care what they're doing, whether they're involved in hard drugs, they don't care if they're involved in fraud. They just want the money to keep flowing into the family, and that is all. I wonder where the parenting handbook got lost, that we are now doing what we are doing these days. And so we'll be seeing cases like this. But maybe connected or not connected, 77% of UTME candidates score below 200 in the last JAMB that was written. So I don't know where the problem lies in that. It seems the scores are going down. 77% is not small.
Well, if we are taking it to another level, we talk about the issue of Yahoo, which is a problem itself. And that is where we're talking about family values. So the road that parents have share their responsibilities as parents and are not doing what they're supposed to do. A situation where father and mother leave home at 5 a.m. every morning and don't come back to the house about 10 p.m. when the children are already asleep. It becomes a problem. Weekend, they're also going about parties and the rest of that. So nobody takes good care of the children as it were. But now we're talking about JAM. It's worrisome. The result is coming up of JAM, incentive to go back. JAM that was taking the students that was conducted last week or thereabout of last 2 weeks. The result is out, and JAM is telling us that about 1.5 million students couldn't cross 200 mark, the 200 marks. When we were during my days, 200 marks was the minimum that can even get to get admission to university. That you even had plus 200 does not necessarily mean that you get admission to university. During our day, that was not like private universities and the like. So it was just federal and state universities. And it was very competitive that you have to score very, very high marks. But now we've seen some universities, usually private institutions, taking us little as about 160, 170. That is one part. Secondly is also we have to look at our education system. The manner of teachers that we have, are they also doing what they're supposed to do? In our days, our teachers were so dedicated and they give in their best. And then at the end of it all, you see that shows in the result. Then taking that further is also the fact that in these days of technology, we didn't have WhatsApp, we didn't have TikTok, we didn't have Facebook and the rest of them during our days. That in itself is becoming a sign of distraction for students nowadays. Instead of them coming home or staying where they are reading, they engage in all these activities, which is a high level of. So that is what part of modernization. But let's even take it a bit further. An analysis of the result, WAEC result in 2024, Lagos State. Students within the Lagos State that took the school SAT. What was the result? Only 45.7% passed WAEC. When we mean passed, we mean that they have credit in English and mathematics and 3 other subjects. Those are the basic level. 45.7%, which means that I'm not very good in mathematics. We are talking about 54.3% feel that is more than half of the students that enrolled for WAEC in Lagos State. I'm talking of Lagos State, not one remote state in the north and likes. So that shows you the level of this thing, despite what the government said they are spending. So it's so obvious that our education system is going down and down and down, and which is why we said there should be more investment in education. Any country that refuses to invest in the education sector, then it's just coming up kind of a doom in the years to come. The level of education system in Nigeria is very, very terrible. And this is where the state, the federal, and the local government need to come to a round table to be able to see how we can be able to make sure that this continued falling standard does not continue as well.
Okay, let's move to the Nigerian Tribune. This story is in almost all the newspapers. FEC okays Nigeria first economic policy to prioritize local industry. The riders are saying bans unjustified imports and executive order coming to back up initiative. So this policy has come that made in Nigeria should be prioritized over everything else. And some people are hailing the policy and some people are saying it's just a policy that is made on paper and will not work. I don't know how you feel about the policy, whether it's something to be applauded or something that you think was not thought through.
Our problem has not always been the problem of having policies or laws in place. Our problem has always been that of implementation. So look at our books, even our constitution or our law books, we have enough laws to guide us. The same thing with talk of in terms of engagement, just like this. Good policies it will be, but the problem we're going to have is how to implement it. But in a country that practically produces nothing, practically all the companies, manufacturing companies are crying and shutting down. what what can we people do? Of course, people will not die of hunger. People will not so the result imported. Those importation either come through the legitimate ports or routes, or they are still going into the country, and that is the problem. So when you say that, oh, you have to encourage, yes, you know that a lot of Nigerian companies are also trying their best to be able to manufacture. But the situation on ground is not giving enough room and incentive for the manufacturing company to survive in Nigeria. First and foremost, the issue of power. If you know what it takes for you to be able to run a company, a manufacturing company in Nigeria, every day man is shouting his voice hoarse on this problem, on this issue. Just a few hours ago, the Minister of Power still told us that, oh, the power that they're going to increase tariff. So when you continue to do that, then it makes it very, very impossible for manufacturing companies in Nigeria to compete effectively with their foreign counterparts. So if, for example, I don't know what to use for example, you see that it's cheaper, most of these products, it's cheaper to get them imported from China or from wherever, and it comes to the people will resort to that. And that is what is happening. So before such economic policies have to be put in place, the government have to make the environment very, very conducive for manufacturers to be able to manufacture so that they can be competitive. If their prices are not competitive, no matter the level of policies you put in place, they are still going to run into problems. And those are the issues.
Oh, well, it's I don't know. The policy is coming after federal government has bought all the vehicles that are supposed to be for all the ministries. The federal government has renovated Asu Rock, the presidential villa, and the vice presidential quarters and all that. And I'm sure the furniture came from maybe Italy or any other place, and then now suddenly made in Nigeria. And like you have pointed out, we don't even know how that competition will be when we're practically not manufacturing anything. So what are we really talking about? It should have started with an encouragement from the federal government doing things that we will just copy. But, well, that's where we are now. Okay, so we are moving to the same Dangote hails Tinubu for revolutionary change in the oil and gas sector. That's a story that is also there on the Tribune. But let's look at let's go back to the Daily Trust. Crisis in Northwest Development Commission over scholarship scheme. I'd like you to comment on that. In light of the fact that we are also embroiled in the crisis of NEL Fund, not doing the right thing, even though they are denying it now, giving loans to the people who are not even in school. Some students that are in school are not even able to access this. You go to their portal, nothing is working. In some institutions, you will hear some people collecting the loan. How they got to get those loans, nobody knows, because the portal is not opening. They say the school is still owing one document or the other and all that. And then now there's a problem in the Northwest over scholarship scheme. I wonder what that is all about. So your comment, please.
I've not read the story, so I'm not well informed on the issue. That issue at stake when you talk about the Northwest scholarship. I've not read the story, so talking about it just from the point of an informed stance. But talking generally, the issue of scholarship in Nigeria has always been shadowed in all sorts of controversies, ineptitude, as well as the corruption. I will say that time and time again. Not just so. Anything that has to do with distribution of wealth has always been a problem in Nigeria. We've seen that with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs in the days of former Minister Peter Edu, and and other short interventions by both the current government and the former government, where we say the time and time again that we have become a beggar nation, where the government thinks that the only best way to be able to reach out to the people is by keeping them 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira. We are becoming a begging nation. But good idea it may be, but the implementation, just as I've said when we're discussing the other topic, is always a problem. Now, what are the register? We have a well-articulated register of people to get this intervention. We are told, oh, 100 million people have been reached. This one, let them provide the register, they won't get it. Then you're talking of network. Yes, part of the story, one of the parts today was that the issue concerning the problem of how associated with the distribution of network grants as bursaries to students. And it was widely mentioned that some of the students said that they applied and they didn't get the money, and then they have to pay by themselves, pay their tuition fee, only for them to graduate months later, and they start seeing a lot in their bank account. Students have, that money was supposed to be for students in the higher institutions, not those that have graduated. And I saw the executive secretary or executive director or managing director of Network justify some of the issues straight. He said there's no money that is missing, the money is there, and the rest of them. But that's why getting is that most of these funds are being misappropriated or not getting to the right source. And that is what it is. Bursary, most other part of the world, bursary is a very, very good tool in the education sector. It helps the children that are from less privileged places home to be able to fund their education. And at the end of it, they have a way of paying. But here, it is becoming more like a jamboree, and the good intentions of government on this part is always being mismanaged by certain individuals or groups who have vested interest in matter. And because you see, before the end of it, you just realize that those that are supposed to benefit from this don't benefit from it. And that is how it runs in Nigeria. And nobody is held accountable.
Well, in this story of the Northwest, there's the scholarship board, which was talking about the scholarship, and then the board of the Northwest was saying that it was never discussed with them. This other scholarship board was taking unilateral decisions, decisions that will affect the people of that region, but they never tabled it. So there's a back and forth whether there was information or not. So maybe that's just watering the ground for fraud to come up, because if it was not discussed with anybody that should have heard about it, then why are you talking about it now? So you will take decisions, and then when you implement it, we will not know what the records will be and all that. I don't know why we keep doing this, and they will tell you all the relevant stakeholders have been informed and all. But that's where we are. NEL Fund, you will apply for loan, you get the alert after you finish school. It's just like when you have a disaster, your roof is blown off, your houses have gone down, and then government is bringing you relief like 5 years later, maybe giving you 5 roofing sheets and 2 planks or something to roof a house that was destroyed 5 years ago. It happens all the time, and I don't know why we don't have real-time response to the things that we need to do, whether it's because of the fraud that it is. But that's where we are. Let's just take a final note from you, not from the papers, just talk to Nigeria. And today I just feel that you should say something to Nigerians as we grapple with whatever is happening right now.
Well, let us not do so. During the campaign in 2020, I think it was renewed hope, we were told. Nigerians renewed hope in electing the current government, and it's believed that the current government should be able to pay back that hope that Nigeria handed over to them. In less than 2 weeks' time, it will be 2 years of this administration, the federal government. It's going to be halfway, and the question you need to ask yourself is, how have they fared? Have they been able to deliver in most of the promises they made to Nigeria? Now Nigeria is better off now than they were on the 29th of May 20.
They say that they should not speak like a politician, so they shouldn't have said
so that should be. You say what?
They said that Deshino, the AFDP head, spoke like a politician when he said in 1960 it was better. Nigerians were better off. I should never have said that.
He spoke like, no, they say he spoke, they even say he spoke like Peter.
Yes, yes.
That he spoke like a politician, not an economist. And that is where you find yourselves. Instead of looking at the message, they continue to look at the messenger. The man that is speaking, is he not a Nigerian? Doesn't have a right. He is the president of African Development Bank, the biggest bank in the whole of Africa. For the Africans who have trusted them with that responsibility, that they know what they are. And it's in second term, not first term, it's second term. His activity has been uploaded across the globe, even by the World Economic Forum, the good job is doing. So if he solved some fundamental wrongs within the system, economic system of Nigeria, and it mentioned something about that, then but instead of them listening as usual, they just unleash their attack dogs. But as I'm writing up, as I said, let the government, both at the state, the federal, state, and local government, be able to deliver the dividends of democracies to Nigeria, and that is where they elected. Anything short of that, you've seen what will happen, the level of insecurity across the land. We are not even talking of economy now. People are just trying to survive in order not to be eliminated or killed, especially in certain parts of the country. That should be a concern to the federal government and even all our politicians. But as usual, you know, the selfish interest comes first over and above every other interest.
Well, let's wrap it up here. There's still hope. One day we'll get it right. But I'd like it to be in my lifetime anyway. But God knows best. Thank you so much, Mr. Nwandu, for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you very much. And my regards to my friend. Have a blessed day.
Yes, your enemy will convey the message. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah.
Have a nice day.
You too, sir. We'll be talking with Mr. Kehinde Nwandu, the publisher of C.K.N. News, and we were looking at some of the headlines that made it to the front pages of our national dailies. We'll take a break. When we return, our first hot topic will be taken, and we hope that you will be there to hear it.